Hello everyone. In previous videos of this unit, we have discussed about various nutrients present in a food, that is carbohydrate, fats, proteins, vitamins and minerals, and the diseases caused in human beings due to the deficiency of any of these nutrients in a food. In this video, we are going to discuss about protein energy malnutrition. Okay, and protein energy malnutrition in short form can also be called PEM. And another name for protein energy malnutrition is protein calorie malnutrition, because calorie directly or indirectly refers to the energy. Okay, so before we begin further, before we read in detail about protein energy malnutrition, first let us recall the importance of protein in our food. Okay, what is the importance of protein in our body? Why protein is required by animals or plants? So as we have studied earlier in previous videos, that protein is a very important bodybuilding food. Okay, it is called bodybuilding food. Why? Because all living organisms, we are aware that every living organism on this earth is made up of cell, and in unit 2 we have studied about the structure of cell. So we know that every cell is having cell membrane. Fine. So cell membrane is made up of proteins. We also require fat, carbohydrates, but protein is a very important or main component of cell membrane. Apart from this, in the bodies of animals, like we have hemoglobin. Okay, in plants we have chlorophyll. Then in our body we have hormones. Fine, enzymes. Okay, so hemoglobin, chlorophyll, hormones, enzymes in the body of living organisms. All these are the examples of protein, or you can say all these things are made up of protein. Now you know very well that human beings cannot survive without hormones. There are many activities in a body which takes place on day-to-day basis, and these activities are completely dependent on hormones. Apart from this, there are many metabolic reactions taking place inside our cells every single minute. Okay, the best example is respiration, and in plants you can take the example of photosynthesis. So these reactions are taking place in our body or in our cells on daily basis every single minute. Okay, so these reactions gets completed very fast due to the presence of enzymes. If enzymes will not be there, what will happen? These reactions will take place very slowly, and hence we the cells cannot function. The cells might die due to improper amount of energy, due to insufficient amount of energy. Fine. So this respiration, photosynthesis, excretion, all these are metabolic reactions, and for the functioning of these metabolic reactions we need enzymes, and enzymes are made up of proteins. And we have studied in unit 4 biomolecules that proteins, they actually have 4 elements: carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen. Okay, so these 4 elements are present in any type of proteins, and you're also aware that protein is actually a macromolecule, and the monomers of proteins are amino acids. Okay, so what are the monomers? Monomers are amino acids. So proteins are having elements carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen, and the monomers are amino acids. Okay, now what happens is you will learn this in detail in further units. Okay, I'll just give you the brief idea. What happens is when we take excess of protein, okay, when we eat excess of protein, so the amount of protein which is required by the body will be used up, or it will be consumed by our body immediately after the digestion process gets completed. But excess of protein or excess of amino acids, because they have this carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen element. Okay, so this carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and oxygen. Okay, so out of this carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, first 3 elements, that is carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, these 3 together forms a glucose molecule. Okay, what it forms? Glucose molecule. Okay, and this nitrogen forms the part of urea. Okay, so this 3, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, these 3 forms the part of glucose molecule. Now many glucose molecules together gets converted into glycogen. Okay, together it gets converted into glycogen and is stored in liver cells. Okay, so where it is stored? It is stored in liver cells. Okay, and this nitrogen forms a part of urea. This urea is transported to kidneys through blood. There this urea mixes with water and it forms urine. Okay, so urea from liver cells is transported to kidneys via blood, and in kidneys it gets mixed up with the water, and hence it forms urine. Okay, so the purpose of telling you this thing, that CHO, that is carbon hydrogen oxygen, forms glucose, is because it's written here protein calorie malnutrition or protein energy malnutrition. So you have to understand that carbohydrates and fats, they directly provides us energy, but proteins, they also contributes in the process of respiration. How? When we take excess of protein, so carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, okay, from the excess of protein, these three elements together, they form glucose, and nitrogen is removed outside the body in the form of urea. Okay, now let's focus on protein energy malnutrition. So this protein energy malnutrition is mainly prevalent in infants. Okay, it actually occurs in infants and preschool children. Why? This is because because these kids, they don't have the habit of eating properly. So protein energy malnutrition is mainly prevalent in infants and preschool children, and the main cause is poverty. Okay, because there are people who don't get sufficient amount of food to eat. Okay, so due to poverty, due to drought, natural disasters, wars, or maybe due to poor economy of the country, okay, what happens? Sufficient amount of food is not available to the people. Okay, and hence these kids in the younger age, they suffer from protein energy malnutrition. And there are two types of protein energy malnutrition: Kwashiorkor and Merasmus. Okay, the second one is Kwashiorkor and Marasmus. M-A-R-A-S and M-U-S. Okay, so M-A-R-A-S-M-U-S. Second one is Merasmus. So first one is Kwashiorkor and then Merasmus. Kwashiorkor, let's discuss about Kwashiorkor. You can look here at the picture in the right side. Okay, so Kwashiorkor can happen between the age group of 1 to 5 years. Okay, so Kwashiorkor can happen to children between the age of 1 to 5 years. And when a person suffers from Kwashiorkor, it starts with, or the general symptoms are like there is decreased amount of immunity, and kids are generally underweight. Okay, and how these kids are separated, or how these kids are identified from other kids, is because of the presence of swollen abdomen and legs due to the fluid retention. Okay, so what happens is, in their abdomen area, okay, the large amount of fluid gets collected there. What is the reason? This you will learn further in other units. Okay, in detail you will learn that what is the reason for fluid retention. Now just understand that in Kwashiorkor, generally the kids, the children, they have swollen abdomen and swollen legs sometimes because of the fluid retention. The meaning of word retention is accumulation of fluid. Okay, and Kwashiorkor is mainly caused due to the diet rich in carbohydrates but lacks protein. So these kids, they mainly consume only carbohydrates. There's no protein in the diet. Okay, so due to the less amount of proteins in the diet, what happens? The kids, they suffer from Kwashiorkor, and the symptom is, with the help of which we can easily identify these kids from others, is like they have swollen abdomen or legs or hands or other part of the body due to the fluid retention. You can look here into the picture carefully. It's visible here. Okay, the swollen abdomen of these two kids due to fluid retention. Next is Merasmus. So Merasmus occurs mainly in infants and babies, that is like 1 to 2 years old. It is more prevalent in the age group of 1 to 2 years old infants and babies. Okay, so in case of Merasmus, the person or the kid lack protein as well as carbohydrates in the diet. So what is not present in the diet? Protein as well as carbohydrates. Okay, so this is important. Keep this thing in your mind, that in case of Kwashiorkor, Okay, diet is rich in carbohydrates, but they lack protein in the diet. Uh, but here in Merasmus, both protein and carbohydrates both are not present in the diet. Okay, the kids, they lack protein as well as carbohydrates in the diet, and the most common symptoms are weight loss, dehydration, dark skin and eyes, and loss of muscles. Because you know that these muscle cells fat is stored, and in muscle cells proteins are present. Okay, so if there's no protein, obviously the muscle will be lost. Okay, so due to the lack of protein and carbohydrates in the diet, infants and babies, they get marasmus, and the common symptoms are weight loss, dehydration, dark skin and eye, loss of muscle, etc. You can look here at the kid in this picture. It's clearly visible. uh, you can make out that the impressions of the bones are clearly visible on the skin of this child. Okay, you can see here the rib cage. You can easily count the number of ribs present in the rib cage. Okay, so these are the impressions of the bones of rib cage of a kid, okay, of this baby. This is because of lack of protein as well as carbohydrates in the diet. Okay, so as there's no carbohydrate, no protein, the muscles of this baby could not develop properly. Understood? So this is the difference between Kwashiorkor and Merasmus. Hope the topic was clear to you guys. In next video, we will begin with the human nutrition. Okay, what are the different steps of human nutrition? Take care till then. Bye bye.